You're listening to Real Facts on Real Estate with Sean Patrick Maloney.
That sounds good.
Welcome to episode 32, Building Up a Facebook Group. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Maloney. This week I want to talk to you about Facebook groups. Facebook is always changing the way that it works and what works best, and groups right now are a hot item. Groups are a place where you take a bunch of Facebook members and you put them into one grouping where they talk about things in private. Some of the groups are open, some of them are closed, some of them are secret. I'll talk more about that later. But the reality is, when you're in charge of a group, you have the right to control an environment where people are coming together to talk about anything from hobbies to different areas to any single subject that you can possibly imagine. Even some of them are just social networks. The good part about groups when you're the admin is you have control over this, and whether they're related to real estate or not, you're able to capitalize off of them and create a bigger social network with lots of different goals in mind. Depending on the goal in mind that you have, you build your group accordingly. So let's talk first about the different privacy settings. So when you're creating a group, first thing you're going to need to do is create a name. You want to create a name that says what you're doing in the name and title. You don't want to create a name that's unrelated and think it's cool, like Sean's Group, and then think people are going to know when they get in Sean's Group they're in real estate. You want to create a name that reflects what you're doing. Could be local, South Shore, Massachusetts, women's business networking. Whatever it be, you want to make it more in specific than you think. A lot of people think they use the word South Shore because they hear Massachusetts. They say, okay, everyone knows what I'm talking about. Well, guess what? The South Shore is common in any coastal community. South Shore of whatever community it is. So you want to make sure if you want it hyper-local, you hyper-localize the name. If you want it national, you nationalize the name. If you want it on real estate, you put real estate in the name. You get what I'm saying, but you want to make sure the name reflects what's going on in the group. After you create the name of the group, you're going to have to choose the privacy settings. There's public, closed, and secret groups. So public groups, anyone can see them. Anybody can see the members as well as the posts, and anyone can join them. You can put a rule in effect that you have to allow anybody to join the group, but most likely, most of these ones end up really big groups. But the problem is there's a lot of bad profiles on Facebook. They get in there, they turn it into a spam problem, or they go in just to take your member list because your members are public material, and they can go in there, take the whole member list, and then do other things with them. We don't have to go over what those things are, but you don't want that to happen to your members, and you want a safe group. The next one over is a closed group. A closed group is searchable. You can find it on the outside. People know that it's there, but they can't see what's going on in the group. They can't see the members, they can't see the posts, but they can request to join. The most private group is called secret. The secret group, you either need a link or an invite to join. It doesn't show in the search bar or anything. Running a group like this, it's got its value and it's got its losses. The great value to it is it's exclusive and you can control it. It's an environment where you won't have a bunch of spammers come in. You won't end up with hackers in there. You won't end up with all the different troublemakers of the internet. Whereas with the closed or the public groups, because people can find them and they might have a shadow profile that you end up adding by accident, it's not quite as risky as that. And one thing that's cool about a secret group is when you build a really big secret group, people know that it was hard to build and they find that exclusivity very intriguing. They want to join places where you have multiple hundreds of members. Currently, as of today, the Facebook group that I run, Real Facts on Real Estate, that mirrors this podcast, actually has over 700 members, which have all been hand-invited and hand-selected as well as hand-vetted. We go through every single profile, ensuring that the person is actually in real estate or in a real estate-related industry or wants to get in real estate. The great part about that is when we have discussions on the discussion board, we don't have anybody coming in thinking they're funny, putting up random stuff. We don't have any trolls in the group. We don't have any of those issues. If you're not familiar with the term troll, a troll is somebody on the internet that posts something just for the sole fact to get a rise out of you. They say something they know is going to piss you off so that you then write exactly what they want, which is defense to yourself, different things that you say back to them, and they put you on your heels at all times. So after you create the different settings for the group, the next you're going to create some rules. Some of the general rules you'd want to put up would be don't spam the group, maybe don't have any self-promotions, and then any rule that is applicable to your actual group. Some people have things like no pornographic material and things, but I think those go without saying. I think obviously your group has no pornographic material. If it's on Facebook, it isn't even the right venue for it. But the big thing to remember is the longer your rules, the less people that will read them. So make the rules specific to what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you put in a post like mine does where it says the rules of the group are that the post must be real estate or real estate specific. and that there tells them that they can't be posting about the Patriots game that's going on or things like that, which depending on the type of group you have, maybe they talk all about the Patriots. Maybe you have a Patriots driven group, but just make sure that the rules reflect what you want to go on. After you set up the rules, there's a thing called new member requests. So if you're a closed group, secret group, or you require an admin to allow people into the group, you can actually ask them questions, the new members as they come in. One of the things you can do with this is you can ask them questions of how they're related to the real estate industry, if that's what your group's about. Again, I'm going to go back to real estate just because that's what my group's about, but you would just think about, whenever I put the word real estate, just think about what the subject of your group is and put it there. So then you can ask them other questions about why they want in the group, different things like that. But one of the other ones that you can do is you can ask them if they want to get on your email list, and you can actually create an email list. So for our group, we have an email list that's going to be going out. We're actually working on that right now. It's going to be going out to tell them about the newest podcast, the newest blog out, as well as a 60-second fact of the week. This email list can end up being a way to segue them out of the Facebook world and into your business world. So depending on what the goals of your group are and what your long-term goal to actually get value-wise out of the group, mine being I do a little bit of recruitment as well as training, as well as just connecting and networking with other real estate professionals. So that's why I'm working the email list. You may be trying to find buyers, you may be trying to find sellers, you may be trying to find people who need loans. So depending on what you're doing there, you want the email list in order to get them from Facebook and into your sales funnel or your pipeline or whatever you're trying to work. One great thing about running a Facebook group is it allows you to be basically the online mayor. Back in the day, we met everybody in person. We went down to local coffee shops and all these different things. And the reality is now the local coffee shop is a Dunkin' Donuts, and people spend about 30 seconds in there to grab a cup of coffee and they run out. Back when I was younger, we'd sit in a coffee shop in the morning, me and my father would meet with the local guys, 15, 20 guys would show up, they'd sit in there for a half hour, an hour, drink the coffee, talk about the town, talk about the day, and then head out. So these online groups are actually the new age way of doing that. You can talk with no longer just 20 people, but thousands of people within one place. So when you're thinking about building the group and everything, you want to think about why you're building the following. Like, what are you trying to get out of them? So I've noticed, different places do different things. Sometimes they have Facebook groups about yard sale of the town. Some people have ones about connect with the town, talk about the town, school schedules of the town. It doesn't have to be related to what you're trying to actually accomplish. Like as a real estate agent, it doesn't have to be real estate talk about the town. It doesn't have to be, ask me questions about real estate. It could be just that, you're the Marshfield local marina watch. You could talk about the marina, and you could talk about the storms coming, and you can talk about all that. And then every once in a while, you can inject the fact that you do real estate to make people know that the person who runs this group is a real estate professional. And then you can end up turning them from just being members of your group to actually into clients. One of the big reasons for this all is Facebook made a lot of changes, and one of the big changes is when you see your timeline, you're seeing less and less comments from friends and more comments and things that are going on in groups, which means that groups are getting more publicity than ever. I think one of the reasons for this is people have been known to add 5,000 friends and to turn their personal page into a business page just by constantly putting up different posts that are everything from billboard ads to specific requests of friends to do things. And I don't think Facebook's very happy for this because of the fact that Facebook really wants people to go on and do things they want to do. So they see it as if you joined the group and someone invited you, you joined it, and you're actively involved there, you clearly want to be there because you can leave groups versus people friend request you and you don't realize it, and then the next thing you know, they're spamming you and you're like, oh, I thought I was friends with this guy and he's really just sending me mortgage requests and things. So I think people who are doing that on their private pages are going to see big punishments. They think they already are. If you actually look at a lot of people who put too much of that up, they don't have very many likes and they don't have very many comments on their posts, and it's due to the fact that they're trying to use the group or the business page settings on their own personal thing. So when you create a group, you're able to invite your friends, or if you attach the group to a page, which you're able to do, you're able to invite people who like that page to the group. So depending on which way you're going with it, if you're connecting it to your page or you're connecting it originally, I personally have mine connected to my profile because I have so many friends in real estate. I end up inviting them that way. Eventually I'll move it over to my page and makes it a little bit easier to advertise. And it also makes it an easier place to house it. But while I'm still trying to grow it through my friends and trying to get all them aboard, I like the ability to invite my friends, because as soon as I connect it to my page, it's going to disconnect it from my personal page. One of the things you want to do when you're running a group is you want to post on a schedule. You don't want to post at random. You don't want to just, okay, I'm just going to throw this up. I'll put up the tide chart today. I'll put up a recipe tomorrow. If you put up the tide charts on Monday, you want to put up the tide charts on every Monday. And these tide charts and recipes, the reason I'm saying them is because you want to think of things that have value. You want to think of what would people come here to look at. If you just simply write, welcome, thanks, it's Monday morning and the temperature is 65, why would anyone go look at that every single day? You're going to find that no one will. So when you create valuable items, such as blogs, podcasts, tide charts, you maybe do the police blotter, all the different things that people are interested in, you create a value and you also have a schedule. The people will show back up to look for those there, because one of the things about people on the internet, they get confused of where to go. So if you show them where to go and you show them why they go there, they'll continue to go back to get it there. Even though you could type in tide charts, Duxbury, Massachusetts, and get that right away, a lot of people don't actually know how to use the internet. So when they find the tide chart in your group and it's up every week, they just go there. It's easier and it makes it exactly where they thought it was going to be. The other thing you want to do is you want to make your members famous. In order to get people in there, you want to make them the highlight of the group. As people contribute, as people post, as people add members, you want to continue to add them into the highlights to talk about them. When new members join, I suggest doing a welcome message, not just hitting welcome message and just clicking off all their names, but actually looking into the person and doing a little bit of a highlight about them. Talk about where they work, talk about what they do. And that way there, you can have your members networking with each other. And in time, as you notice you have more members in certain walks of life, you can introduce them to each other and get them talking to each other. You want to build the engagement. The engagement will build itself with value, but at the same time, you want to foster and encourage engagement, because the engagement, as it goes up on your group, the more your group will share on people's walls, the more people will go back there, and it'll continue to cycle and kind of be like a snowball and grow. Some of the ways to grow a group great are to have promotions on there, maybe giveaways. We do a giveaway every 100 members on my group. Be careful about giveaways as far as make sure you follow all the Facebook rules so your group doesn't disappear one day. And also make sure that when you're doing giveaways that you don't have your posts always just talk about giveaways, because then you'll end up getting punished and you'll end up being not shown as much on people's feed walls. You can have question and answers, polls. So any of these things like polls and question and answers, the great part about them is they create engagement. I just recently had a logo design come up and I asked people which logo design they wanted me to use as far as for the logo for this company, Real Facts on Real Estate, on both the podcast and the Facebook group. And people loved it because guess what? We all have an opinion and we love to share it. So when you ask people question and answers, you ask people polls, it raises the engagement rate, which again helps grow that group and helps people actually feel like they're a part of something. The other thing is local insights. So if you're a local group and you're localized, you can do it about your town, you can do it about your area. If you're a national group, when I say the word local insights, I don't mean local as in close to you, as in close to the group, close to what the group is about. So you want to put more information about the exact subject that people are in the group for so that they find that and they're like, oh wow, this is some really important information. I didn't know about this exact subject. I'm going to continue reading this group because they clearly know a lot about the subject that I'm interested in. So let's talk about some things not to do. Don't spam your own group. What this means is constantly putting up things that say, buy from me, do this for me, you can see me here, go to my website and get this product. This is what we want people to do, but we want people to do it because we built ourselves as an authority in a subject. We don't want them to do it because we put a call to action that they need to go and buy now. Call me today if you want to buy a house. You'll never see that in my group. You'll never see me say, you need to buy a house through me, or come work for me tomorrow because I'm the best brokerage there is. Although I think I'm the best brokerage there is, I don't need to share that with everybody else in the group. You get the point. It's just not what people come for. And really, really, really be careful about not allowing members of the group to do that. I actually kicked somebody out of the group today because they took a warning, which you can do through the admin, right? So you can actually send them a warning and you can cite which rule they actually broke and tell them please back off on doing that. And again, I warned the person, they did it again, I removed them. The reason for that is I need to maintain the quality of the group. And that's why if you're an admin alone and you're not on Facebook all the time, you might want to pick to have a few more admins. You might have some friends that you trust, or you might have some coworkers that you trust. Having more than one admin in the group actually helps you, because as quick as things go up, you can take them down. Because if you're not watching a group and you're allowing posts without your moderation, as far as that you have to approve every single post, a post goes up about the wrong thing and you can really lose a lot of members quickly, and you can lose a lot of faith quickly if they think you stand for that and it sits up there for a few days. People will actually leave the group saying, I'm not a part of this. I can't believe that they would put that up there. So just think about that. Don't allow spam in the group, and don't spam your own group. So some of the cool things that are features that you could do is you can create internal events in groups. So an event, just like you could create an event on your regular Facebook page as well as business pages, you can create events for groups. So you could create meetups if it's a localized group, or you could create watch parties and live video and all things like that if it's a national group. These are things that are going to get your members engaged. And if it's a localized group and you do a meetup, it's a great way to take people from Facebook again and make it a real life thing. Similar to working the email list, where we're taking them from Facebook and now we're putting them into the email list, so that they understand better that this isn't just something that happens on Facebook, but this is something that they can be more involved in. These invites to group events are going to actually make them realize that these other members are real people. And we end up with similar interests and similar likes, and you might end up creating some friendships through it. And then these are how you're going to actually grow the group, because the more of these people that you help find each other, the more that they're going to continue to promote your group and promote your brand. And the more you can give them, the more they're going to feel like they owe you. One thing about every human is the give and take policy of life is that if someone gives you a lot, that you have to repay them in some way, shape, or form. And that can happen in a way of inviting friends to join the group, all the way to actually becoming clients. So again, when you work in groups, you just want to think, I'm not going to tell them exactly what I want of them, but I'm going to lead them like a horse to a carrot. I'm going to show them the way, and they're going to realize I'm an authority in my subject, and that's why they should trust me. As you're building the group, you're going to notice that at first you have some ability to see analytics. You might be able to read their activity and who looked at posts and everything. And then at 250 members, you end up getting all your insights and demographics, where you can see how old, what gender they are, and quite a bit of other information. Then the next milestone is at 5,000 members, they actually shut off your ability to invite everyone to all the events. I think this is to avoid spam and to avoid people from getting out of control, but just remember, as you're working your group, stay away from that stuff. I know they kind of make it so you can't get at it, but remember, sometimes you don't know what Facebook's doing to you in the background. If you find your post going out and you're only finding one person out of multiple hundreds are liking it, chances are it's not just that you wrote a bad post, chances are it's that you're being tuned down by the algorithm. So be very careful of it, always be watching it. There's a place within the group where you can look at your group quality. You do not want to have any marks in there. If you are having marks in there, read them, make sure you understand why, and don't be doing it anymore so you don't punish yourself on building your own group. One last thing that I want to go over is when you have the members, you can actually go to the members list to know who is in your group. This is a great place to compare and contrast who's active, who's not active, what are they doing, how do I get them more active. Don't forget, you can post people and you can @ people, so you can take your most likely to engage people and bring them into questions and answer sessions, as well as you also can take people who haven't talked in a while and you can @ them into a comment and bring them back into the group. Again, don't be spammy with it, but you could always ask somebody, what's your idea on this? Or, hey, Jay, I noticed you're a real estate investor. Have you met Sam and Mike yet? And tag all three of them in the post, and that way there, all three of them end up connecting up. So remember, as a group moderator, admin, whatever you want to call it, as the moderator or admin, whatever you want to call it, of the group, it's your job to build up engagement. It's your job to get members, and it's your job to make it a fun place that's safe for people to go to. If you do this and you continue to add value, build yourself up as the authority in a subject, and continue to grow the network, you're going to find that your group is going to grow at explosive rates. Lots and lots of groups out there offer absolutely no value and continue to be a place for trolls to just harass each other, and continue to be a place for people who have negative things to say to continue to air them, Nobody likes those type of groups. We all go watch them and look at them, but nobody actually does anything constructive in them. If you want to have a really great group, make sure you follow these things that I told you today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to DM me, PM me, call me, email me, whatever works best for you. Make sure to join our group on Facebook, Real Facts on Real Estate, if you're in the real estate industry, and tell your friends about it. Love to have them in the group, love to have them taking part of it. I look forward to talking to you next week, and thanks for listening again. Make sure to follow this podcast, and I'll talk to you soon.